Aha, it's John G. Sutton, Tales from the Jails. But talk today about Charles Bronson, or Charles Salvador, as his name is now. He's changed his name. Apparently, according to the reports I've seen in the press today, the media, it's saying that he's won his application to have his next parole hearing in public. But it will be heard next year, early in 2023. And Charles Bronson, who is now aged 66, is going to be heard with his application to be released. His original date, I believe it was 2003, was his original release date, but certain actions that Charles has taken whilst in prison have kind of impeded his progress to the gate. And he's now serving his sentence in HMP Wood Hill. So we all really do wish Charles Bronson all the best to get out there, because it's ridiculous to be in prison. I mean, he was serving a life sentence for holding hostage a member of the prison staff for, I believe it was 3 days. Obviously terrorised the gentleman, but Charles really at the bottom of all this, he's a gentle soul, you know. He's an artist and a poet. All right, there's another side to him that's slightly violent. I mean, we might be putting it mildly there, but he has got a sense of humour. And really, if you look at the amount of time that Charles Bronson has served in prison compared to the actions that he's taken, I mean, you get people who have molested children who go to court that just says, well, I'm going to give you because I believe if you go to prison, you could be brutalised by the other inmates. Oh, really? Could he? Could the people do that? Yeah, what about the poor little children that have molested? Yeah, what about them? What about all the cover-ups that they did? I mean, the people who were in positions of authority, people who knew that Jimmy Savile was bang at it, senior members of the police force who were meeting with him on his Friday afternoons in, in Scarborough, in his flat there, drinking tea and sipping brandy with Jimmy, our friend Jimmy. And what was he doing? Well, we now know that he was doing things like practicing necrophilia. For all those of you who are not fully aware of what necrophilia is, it's basically, I mean, let's get it down to the basic root of this. It's shagging dead bodies. And that's what Jimmy Savile was doing. And not only was he doing that in the morgues, of hospitals. But seriously, I mean, you can imagine, what kind of a perverted person this was. He was also apparently sexually interfering with handicapped children in their hospital beds. The problem is that, as I've previously said, he was a high-profile 33rd degree Mason, and when you're dealing with somebody like that and you make a report, as I've previously said, all hell breaks loose. And it does not break loose upon the person that you're reporting. No, it breaks loose upon the individual that's doing the reporting, the whistleblower. I know, I've blown the whistle. I've received some comments, on my previous broadcast with Sean Atwood, which was transmitted last night. People saying all the reports that I made were against other people. Well, I mean, give me a break, folks. How many police officers do you know that have arrested themselves? Oh, I was speeding there. I'm under arrest. Send myself a ticket. Come on, get real here. And it was also commented by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, obviously, that prison officers, well, certainly when I joined, were empowered under the Prison Act with all the authority and powers of a police constable. Whilst on duty, of course. I mean, you didn't take the authority outside the prison walls, but whilst you were in the prison walls, whilst you were acting as a prison officer, if you were taking prisoners out under escort, you had all the authority to arrest anybody who was interfering in what is known as a Home Office production. And to anybody who doubts that, go online, onto Google, type in powers of a prison officer. The problem that we had was that the prison officers themselves did not exercise their authority correctly. They were disempowered by the people who were in authority over them, like chief officers and governors, who did not enable them to utilise all the authority that was in their power. Unless they were maniacs like me who just said, listen, this is within my authority, I am taking action, and that's my warrant card, now step aside. But to do that, you've got to be a little bit courageous. And let me tell you this, despite the fact that you've got some big thugs there as jailers, they just didn't have that nerve to actually stand up to the people in authority. That's a problem that Charles Bronson's got. He did. He's had some nerve, he's had some bottle, and he has put some fight into it. And he's been entertaining and dangerous as hell, I agree. And as a jailer, I would have treated him with extreme caution. I never did encounter him. Although Charles Bronson and I do have a connection. In 1990, the 8th of June 1990, I wrote a big article for The Guardian, the national newspaper. And it was published, and it was called Loose Screws. Don't believe me? Contact The Guardian, look in their archives. 8th of June 1990, in the column known as Grassroots, Loose Screws by John Sutton. Yeah, that would be me, by the way. And apparently, I think he was being held at HMP Wakefield at the time. They call it Monster Mansions, don't they? Well, Charles Bronson had that article on his wall, pasted it onto his wall. So if you're out there, Charles, good luck, lad, with your review on the Parole. I believe you can't hold people indefinitely in this world. And this is supposed to be Great Britain. This is not Egypt. This is not Iran. This is supposed to be the land of the free. Land of hope and glory. Yeah, well, good luck there to Charles Bronson. And now it's that time of day. Don't forget, I'm going to do a Q&A tonight with Sean Atwood. Yes, it's the song dinger, folks, but I'm not singing today. I'm going to read you some poems by A.E. Houseman. First of all, a poem that I'm going to do it straight off the top of my head. It's from his work, A Shropshire Lad. It's called It's called Blue Remembered Hills, actually. Into my heart an air that kills from yon far country blows. What are those blue remembered hills? What spires, what churches those? That is the land of lost content. I see it shining plain, those happy highways where I went and cannot come again. That was Blue Remembered Hills by A.E. Houseman. And this is Loveliest of Trees, the Cherry Now, from his collection of poems, A Shropshire Lad. Loveliest of trees, the cherry now, is hung with bloom along the bough, and stands about the woodland ride, wearing white for Eastertide. Now, of my 60 years and 10, 20 will not come again, and take from 70 springs a score, it only leaves me 50 more, and since to look at things in bloom, 50 springs are little room. About the woodlands I will go, to see the cherry hung with snow. There you go. Loveliest of Trees, The Cherry Now by A.E. Houseman. And I hope you're going to join in tonight, the Q&As with Sean Atwood on his channel, True Crime. I shall be here. I shall be there. In fact, we'll meet again. Tales from the Jails, John G. Sutton. Thank you.